Hi there, welcome to Simple Plant-Based Food. And today we're gonna be making my delicious and fluffy vegan cinnamon rolls. I have tried many cinnamon roll recipes, and this is by far my favorite way to make them. You won't believe that they're vegan, let alone gluten-free. The ingredients we will need will be 450 grams of gluten-free bread flour, 8 grams of instant yeast, 1/4 cup of applesauce, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1/3 cup of cane sugar, and 1.25 cups of coconut milk. You will also need half a stick of vegan butter, 1/4 cup of heavy cream for pouring over the rolls, 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, 1/3 cup of creamy almond butter, and 1 cup of blended dates. You could also use a vegan butter and sugar filling, but I like this as a healthier alternative. And lastly, for the cream cheese frosting, you will need 1 cup of cashews, 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and half a cup of coconut milk. The first thing we will be prepping will be the cinnamon roll dough. Here I have 1.25 cup of coconut milk, which I've just warmed up a bit. And then to this, we're going to add in about a tablespoon of cane sugar. You want to use warm milk, but make sure it's not too hot or the yeast won't activate properly. And you also want to add in about a tablespoon of flour. And you're just going to whisk this a bit so there aren't a lot of clumps. Once you're done, you can add in 8 grams of instant yeast, just sprinkling that everywhere. Now lightly mix this just to incorporate. You're going to let this sit for 10 minutes covered with a plate so the yeast can activate. To my stand mixer, I'm going to start by adding 1/3 cup of cane sugar, along with 1/4 cup of applesauce, half a stick of vegan butter, and the last thing we're going to add will be the yeast milk mixture. One thing I will say though is that you want to make sure you use a larger bowl so when it's activating, it doesn't start spilling out the sides. Once this is mixed, we're going to add in about half of our flour, so I'd say about 225 grams. And mix this till all the flour is incorporated. Once that's finished, you can add in the rest of your flour and you're going to let that knead for about 5 minutes. A dough ball should form. Here I have a glass bowl which I've just greased with some olive oil, and I'm just going to add in my dough into the bowl. I'm covering this with a kitchen towel and letting it proof for an hour. In the meantime, we're going to prepare the filling. Here I have 1 cup of blended dates along with 1/3 cup of a creamy almond butter. You can also use cashew butter if you prefer. Now just mix this in well. As I said earlier in the video, you can also use a butter and sugar filling. I just like this as a healthier and lower sugar option. Plus, the filling doesn't taste like dates, but it does give it a nice sweetness. Once this is fully mixed in, I'm going to add in 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon. You can also add more if you like it to be a stronger flavor. If the paste is a little too thick, you can add in just a splash of coconut milk. When you have a nice and creamy consistency like this, the filling is ready. The dough has just finished proofing, so I'm just going to remove the plastic wrap that's covering it. And then lightly punch it to release some of the trapped air. Make sure to flour your work surface so the dough doesn't stick. I like to roll mine into a sort of log shape. I feel like starting with this shape makes it a lot easier to roll into a rectangle. And then using a rolling pin, roll the dough out into a large rectangle. You want to take your time with this part because if you don't roll it out nicely, the rolls will be weirdly shaped. You want it to be about a 12 by 18, so I do need to roll mine out just a bit more. If you're enjoying this recipe, then please make sure to like and subscribe so you can get notified anytime I post a new video. Now let's get back to the recipe. When the dough is nicely rolled out, you can start adding the date filling. I like to just add a bit everywhere and then spread that evenly all the way to the edges. You want to make sure you get an even amount of filling on each bite. Once the filling is nicely spread everywhere, using a pizza cutter, cut 11 to 13 strips. I say 11 to 13 because depending on the flour you use, your dough might come out slightly larger or smaller. So judge the size and how many you want to cut out. Then you can roll the cinnamon rolls just like this. I like using this method over the floss way because I feel like this rolling gets more volume because they aren't cut flat. Once you have them all rolled out, you can transfer into a baking dish, and we're going to let these proof for an hour covered. While those proof, we're going to prepare the cream cheese frosting. Here I'm just pouring some boiling water over 1 cup of cashews, and they will sit for 10 minutes to soften up. After 10 minutes, you can drain them and add them into your blender along with 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, half a cup of coconut milk, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and a good pinch of salt. Now pop on the lid and blend till smooth. So the rolls have just finished proofing, and as you can see, they have doubled in size. Now I'm just going to unwrap them and brush on some vegan butter to help them get a golden brown color. This is optional though. I am also going to add some heavy cream in between the cracks. I feel like this helps them get super fluffy, which is really important, especially because they are gluten-free. And pop these in the oven at 350 for 20 minutes. They have just finished, so I'm going to let them cool for a few more minutes covered with the kitchen towel. It has been about 5 minutes and they are really soft, so now we can spread on the cream cheese frosting. I like to add just a thin layer over all of them to keep them soft, and there will be extra frosting for serving on top. Each cinnamon roll has 320 calories, 5 grams of fiber, and 20 grams of total sugar, 5 grams being added sugar. Now they're ready to serve while warm. Thank you so much for watching, and follow for more simple plant-based recipes.